Hi everyone, Wrath here, and this is going to be my Lair boss activity guide. Now, this is going to be fairly short and sweet. My recommendation is do layer bosses one or two torments below what you can handle them on. So let's say you're doing torment 10 consistently. You're going to do the Urivar lesser layer bosses on torment 9. You're going to do the greater layer bosses such as Adariel, Duriel, and Harbinger on torment 8. You're going to do Belial and Butcher on torment 7. And this is for any of the A tier builds. If you're a barbarian or a sorcerer and you're playing the meta build, your build is S tier and you've got all your damage there, you can probably just stay on 10. You definitely need to drop it for Butcher and Belial. You don't have to do it on 7. You could do it on 8, maybe do it on 9. Just be aware that they have tons of health and they hit like trucks, and they're not locked in there with you. You're locked in there with them. For anyone who doesn't know, please be advised that the Butcher can has quite a few mechanics that most people haven't seen, and he will turn the entire floor on fire. And do not hesitate to ring a scroll. Okay, my recommendation for this tree is fairly straightforward. You're just going to go straight down the middle. If you are following my recommendation for the previous boss difficulties and how to farm them on, this will be no problem. I don't see any issue with you doing 2x2, Greater Nemesis, or Ultimate Nemesis. They also don't feel like the souped up versions of themselves. The Belial version of himself that you can face when you fight Greater Nemesis or Ultimate Nemesis. I think you can fight him at both. It's been a few days since I've done one of these. He doesn't seem to have nearly as much health, damage, or mechanics as his traditional version does. None of the bosses do. Do be mindful that if you're doing 2x2 and you get Grigor, you have to do the floor dance. I've never gotten hit by that, but his floor historically does tons of damage, so you need to be extremely mindful of that. Then, if you're fighting a Lord Zur or Urivar, do be mindful of their frontal abilities because their frontal abilities are the hardest hitting. I don't think I've encountered Beast in the Eyes, but that doesn't mean he won't necessarily show up in that version. For Greater Nemesis, I think it's a pick 2. It might be a pick 3. I see Belial, Duriel, and Indariel quite a bit. I don't think I've ever seen Harbinger, but that doesn't mean he won't necessarily pop out. For Ultimate Nemesis, you do face the Shade of Belial, who will do a room-wide breath, so just be mindful of that. I don't know how you avoid that because the fight's usually over by the time he's doing it. I think you can still hide in melee range. I don't know that you can hide behind him. And you can definitely hop over it. You might even be able to outrange it. I've never tried being max distance from it, but that might work. Um, you will face Baby Belial and I think all of the greater evils. Maybe just Baby Belial and Darl and Duriel. All of these things are starting to bleed together. Anyhow, the ultimate nemesis picks 3 bosses, and you gotta kill them. And they do have a decent amount of health, but they don't feel quite as beefy as their regular counterparts. Anyhow, you're gonna do this because you get tons and tons and tons of loot. So for spending 1 key, your chances to get tons of loot is insane, and it's doing something fun. After that, you have a decision to make. Do I want runes? Do I want to spend my keys quicker? If you want to spend your keys quicker, a second chest is the way to go. You kill the boss, you get the boss's loot and the boss's chances twice as quick in the second chest. can spawn Belial. I don't know that you. I normally open them super quick. It's possible that each one has a separate transfer Belial, so be mindful of that. And only someone spec into the second chest will have an opportunity to unlock it. Then there's Golden Horde. This is a great way to farm gold if you want to turn off your brain and mindlessly farm gold while you're doing bosses and just get extra gold from, monster power boost bosses. This is the way to go. The other nice thing about going down the left side is that you can increase the monster power above normal 12. Um, that said, if you care early on, if you really, really care about farming a perfect, unique item, and you can target it with this board, absolutely consider doing that. You can also go down this left side to Golden Horde and then go back up to, I believe, Duriel Invasion, and I know Andariel. I was actually spawning Andariel in the pit quite frequently. She didn't do a ton of mechanics. I don't think she's nearly as crazy as her regular fight. Um, but Andariel seems to do way more damage than Duriel and Harbinger, so just be mindful of that. Um, the Bloodseekers spawning in the pit slap. I needed something off of them for my paladin, so I had them turned on for a while, but I am so glad I turned them off because they were absolute terrors. I need Grigor on my barbarian for perfectly rolled gloves, so I'm absolutely spec'd into this. That's something to consider. If one of these bosses has an item that's do or die for you, you probably want to spec into it. Over here on the right side, Helltide commanders can get replaced with a Lair boss. I don't particularly enjoy it, but it does spice up Helltides, and if you're mind caging the Helltides, it's going to be souped up as well. The nice thing about it is you can force Belial to spawn at the end of Infernal Hordes. If you're going to be spawning Infernal Hordes and you can kill Belial, this is how you do it and this is how you juice it. I've actually gotten Varshan to spawn during Chaos Waves and Infernal Hordes, and if your Infernal Hordes are spec'd into Chaos Waves, this is how you double dip. It's really only worth it if you need Varshan, though. However, the Fell Council and Bartok have some very unique rewards that are very good, and they're very good because of how much time and effort it takes to get to Bartok. So you could go through Varshan to get to the Bartok node if you're not already heavily invested on another side of this board. That said, Beast in the Ice has some good loot for certain classes, so Beast in the Ice appearing in Nightmare Dungeons can be very beneficial, aside from the fact that Beast in the Ice is the scariest, or the second scariest, lesser boss. Amalgam of Rage. Being able to trigger the Amalgam of Rage in Nightmare Dungeons to get uniques specific to Astaroth is huge. The Astaroth loot table. I mean, you're already going to be farming Nightmare Dungeons to get to Astaroth. This just simply allows you to double dip. So why wouldn't you? This also means that if you're not doing escalation dungeons, you still have access to Astaroth's loot table. If you need anything from it whatsoever, definitely consider that route. Anyhow, that's that. I hope that helped you out. And if you liked the video, please subscribe and like. Cheers, and see you in the next one.